one of my famous, like, I think it's some quote from Sun Tzu or something like that, na if you're not growing, you're dying. I started seeing this parang quote-unquote sketchy certifications. I won't name them na lang because they still exist. We are hosting FIBA basketball championships. We're hosting volleyball world championships. We're hosting tennis tournament. But weightlifting, we don't have.
Ni hao, hello, annyeonghaseyo. This is Ken from TheRack.co, and right now I have here.
Hi, I'm Corpus from Eleiko Education, Philippines.
So we decided to have this just discussion because we wanted to talk about a lot of things with Flip. Basically, more on the Eleiko education for weightlifting and powerlifting. And Flip, before we get into the weeds, want to introduce yourself? Like maybe like a history of your athletic sort of career.
Hey, wow, career. Okay. So, quick background, I started in the sports scene back in 2001.
No, tito na. Titong tito.
Well, so,
Okay.
pero i-edit. So, I started back in 2001. I got into the triathlon scene as I basically did all the iron distance, half iron distance, so duathlons, marathons, everything from way back then. Eventually joining a CrossFit affiliate in 2012 and then founding a CrossFit affiliate in Makati in 2013 and then opening another CrossFit affiliate in 2015.
Okay.
And helping out with a lot of other gyms and affiliates along the way.
So I have like a few questions for that one. So sa unang-una, how old were you then and why did you start with like endurance? Like what prompted you like to participate with endurance sports?
Endurance sports, I think I started out, I was 21 back then. So I just got out of college and I actually just heard it on the radio. Wow, uso pa yung radyo nun. So I heard it on the radio. Oh, there's an half Ironman in Matabungkay next weekend. I was like, oh, I can swim, I can run. Might as well. If I can borrow a bike, I can join. Like, okay.
So you did?
So yeah, so my cousin had a bike. I had it fixed. Tried it out. I maybe rode about 15K and then the week after, I finished a half Ironman race. And actually, it is the 25th year anniversary of that race this year.
Wow! So, happy anniversary! Okay. Okay. So, like, how did you do that race?
I was not last. So, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, for a guy na with no training, I just heard it on the radio. Yeah, I was able to finish in a decent time. But I
decent
think
is relative.
Oh, decent is relative. But still finished at about 6-7 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, for not training. But also, I do not recommend it for most. But it just so happened I have a long athletic background already before that. So in college, I was a volleyball and basketball varsity player.
Okay.
In high school, high school and grade school. High school, I was a volleyball varsity. Grade school, I was taekwondo. So like a lot of a lot of sports activities built up over the years. So that allowed me to be able to do it at that point. So if you don't really have a background or your body isn't used to sports and you try to jump in, that's not something I would recommend.
So during your endurance, like how many years did that last?
I was racing and doing endurance sports siguro until mga 2007-ish.
2007?
2007,
Okay.
because like I did the corporate career. 2007, I moved na to Singapore. So I did the Standard Chartered Marathon in Singapore in 2007 and then moved na to Singapore after for corporate work.
Okay, so when you were in Singapore, there was like no endurance events.
That was like a pause in my because focus on career muna.
Okay.
Focus on the career back then.
So I'm assuming that within that sort of endurance phase, you joined a lot. Was it mostly running, biking, and swimming altogether, or
yes,
like separately?
Everything in between. So I remember there was one season, I think it was 2002 or 2003 season, that I probably raced about minimum 20 to 24 times.
Holy cow.
So parang that's between running races, so that's 10K, half marathon, full marathon, duathlon, triathlon, half, full, like all within a year. So basically I was like kind of racing every other weekend, something like that.
What made you do that? So anong sayad yun? Like
kasi parang for me it was a good, but it was fun. Like it was really, really fun. And then part of it was also being able to travel and see the country. Like I remember when you go biking, especially back then, back then it didn't have as many people on motorbikes around and such. A lot of roads were empty. Like, just on a whim, I remember I would tell people, may Yahoo groups pa nun. I remember I would tell people, oh guys, I'm gonna do a Laguna loop. I'm gonna do a Laguna loop, who wants to come? And then nobody wants to come. Siyempre parang doing Laguna loop by yourself back then just wasn't normal. But for me, it was just a way to be able to see the country, travel, even see friends. Na parang it just didn't. In my head, it wasn't a limitation. Or for example, friends would go, oh tara, let's meet in Santa Rosa, and then we'll go biking to Nasugbu. I would actually bike from our house from Parañaque to Santa Rosa to meet them, and then go biking in Nasugbu, and then just on the way back, I'll just hitch a ride with someone. Kasi I didn't have a ride with...
May sayad ka talaga, ano?
Kaya nga flip eh, di ba? So, that's why. So, it was kind of normal. So, back then, I would really like train, race.
Got it.
Back then. So, lifestyle.
So moving through that, then going to Singapore, taking a rest, had any activities in Singapore, and then like how did you transition to 2012, 2015 with your sort of your affiliation with CrossFit? Because that's how I think I remember you. Like so you were one of the co-founders of CrossFit Manila. Always saw that Legazpi, and that was always like a gym that I felt like, wow, this is a great space, great place, great area. Obviously, CrossFit back then was like super saucy. Like, how was that? How did you get to there?
So when I actually, how it worked is when I moved back into the country around late 2010, 2011, a friend of mine already like mentioned na, ano ba, it was only just CrossFit Libis at the time, so CFMNL Libis, and she already said na, oh, you know, there's this workout that I'm doing, I'm pretty sure you'd like it. She already knew me from way back and knew me as somebody who did sports nga, that, oh, I'm pretty sure you'd enjoy it, you'd like it. And then I was like, oh, sige, I'll give it a shot. But Libis was too far for me because I was Makati based at the time. Sabi ko, if there's something in Makati, why not? And they were like, oh, there's gonna be a Fort, they're gonna open one in Fort soon.
Okay.
The moment they opened in Fort, within like I think maybe the first few months, within the first few months, I think I already joined. Okay. And I got hooked. I really got hooked because it was basically, while I had my background in endurance and just learning to like stay in the pain cave and just being there, it gave me another side to work on, which is the strength side, and then and what hooked me was the weightlifting side. I have videos of me lifting back then. I look like a baby gazelle that just got out. Na parang sobrang, because
That's so funny yung baby gazelle.
parang yung itsura ko, I still have videos of it somewhere.
Okay.
Na, and because like, it was so foreign to me, strength training was so foreign because when I was doing triathlons, I was like, my 10K triathlon time was faster than my 10K road run time. Like, I could do a 10K road run time sa like around 50, low 50s. My 10K triathlon time would be like 40s. Okay. So like, I would be faster in the run. So parang diesel yung engine ko. But when I got into CrossFit, there were so many, like, just being able to do pull-ups.
Dami movements eh.
Pull-ups, or just being able to back squat your body weight or deadlift your body weight was just like so foreign to me.
Sorry, natawa ko sa baby gazelle.
Natawa ko sa I have a video somewhere. I will show you the video somewhere.
Nakita ko rin yung snatch ko like 4 years ago. Pag snatch ko, parang yung ulo mo, gumaganan para hindi matamaan ng barbell.
My first weightlifting workshop was actually with Heidi. That's how Heidi and I met.
Oh, Heidi and Diaz, okay.
Yeah, and Heidi. That's how Heidi and I met. We did it in Libis, and within the first 15 minutes, my nose bled because I hit my nose with the barbell. As in, I remember that specifically. Pag ganun ko ng barbell, dumugo talaga yun. I was like, wow, like, great.
So obviously, during this time, hindi pa siya nanalo. Parang wala pa ata siya sa Rio, 16 yung
well, so this was 2012.
So
2012 yun. So this is right before London ata.
Right before London.
Tama ba yung timing ko, Heidi? Basta right before London, I think.
Kasi parang in 2008, that was the time when she was just... parang for her, parang ang impression ko noong 2008 niya, parang medyo namula siya. Oh my God, this is like...
yes, kasi wild card pa siya noon. The 2012, so that was my first foray. So it was, a weightlifting workshop with Heidi. I think that was within my first 6 months of CrossFit.
Got it.
That was how we met.
So before we move on to just weightlifting, CrossFit itself, how did you, like, what was the reason why your friend contacted you and told you that, Flip, baka magustuhan mo to? Like, and why do you think it really did like catch on to you?
Well, my friend, yun nga, so she knew me already, yun nga, as a competitive athlete, and she already kind of figured out na, because she knew likely it was hard. She knows who she is, Lala.
Okay.
Because she knew that it was something hard and difficult na it would appeal to me, because they already knew na parang if it's kind of basic lang, I might not do it.
Okay.
Parang But at least I like the challenge. So, and especially like being able, and I remember I remember always going to the first class and normally like staying minimum an hour after just to like work on a lot of stuff because that kind of was like always what I was doing even back then when I was starting in triathlon also. The bike and the run felt natural to me. Then how my races would normally go would be I would get out the bottom 20% after the swim and I would have to chase everyone until I can be in a potential podium spot or just challenge for a good position.
Okay.
So parang sayang yung hinahabol ko from the swim. So parang I wasn't I didn't have I was willing to actually join like a kids swim team.
Yeah.
I remember joining the swim team. The trainings would be in San Agustin. I would be next to grade school students. I was already like 21, 22 at the time. Grade school students from different schools, and then I would train and swim with kids. I did not care because I needed to. Back then, all this coaching that we have now, we didn't have it back then. So I searched for a swim coach, and I had no problem with it because I was willing to work on it. So that carried over when I got into CrossFit. Na there's so many things to work on, and then a major one was weightlifting, and then slowly like. Weightlifting really was something that I eventually ended up wanting to really, really work on.
I would agree with like what you said a while ago, yung kinukwento mo about training with younger kids, right? This is something I don't know if this is relevant, but this is actually something that I find interesting about you is that I feel like you're one of those people who do not care to like really. Parang you're like one of those guys who maybe in a reunion who really would not matter like what the others would be doing. Like so you travel, for example, you travel around in Metro Manila, you travel around on an electric bike. And then I see your Instagram, your legs are always out, and I see your legs. But you're always saying you go to the beach, you have a space in La Union. You're really someone I feel like who really doesn't sort of. It's not that you don't care. It's like you know who you are. You sort of just go with your own boat, right?
It's a different boat.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But I think you're comfortable already in that boat, and it's like just katulad ng mga bata katulad namin ni Ra. It's like we sort of still want to see what our path really is, and then I think for you it's just I feel like you're just regardless if it's imperfect because no person is perfect, but I think you're just really more comfortable doing the things that you do. You do. Parang ganun.
Oh yeah, but I think we have to also consider na if you're like. We all have finite time, diba? Na parang, especially coming from the lockdown, I think like when I have conversations with people and I go, what's the biggest, and I would ask the question, what's the biggest lesson you learned from the lockdown, for example? People, some people would say baking bread or whatever, but if you really become philosophical about it, I would say na the biggest lesson was really knowing that we have a finite time.
Yeah.
So if we have finite time, and what if biglang tomorrow lockdown ulit or something happens, why spend it living a life that is not what you want? Na it's something na, because it's what was imposed on me.
Ako, alis ako dito.
No, but exactly, but that's why, parang for me, like, I'd rather really be doing something I want to do, work with people I want to work with, and do something I really love. Yeah. I might not get super rich out of it, but it's something I enjoy. Now, if something hits me at this very moment, I'd be okay.
Okay. So pulling you back a little bit towards CrossFit, what are probably just so we can just have that transition, what was like your fondest memories of CrossFit? What are your favorite things about CrossFit? And what are the not so favorite parts of CrossFit?
For CrossFit itself, my fondest memories is always the people. Super, super, super. Like, from the time that I started to, from joining gyms, to all the different, from joining gyms, starting gyms, working with other gyms around the country, just meeting a whole lot of people, seeing how everyone develop, all the different backgrounds, like even doing workshops, everything. Is just being able to see how everybody interacts with each other, and the common denominator of, we just want to get better.
Yeah.
So it's not, I think that's also what I liked about it, na because the CrossFit gyms, quote unquote, doesn't have mirrors, so the focus isn't on how you look. So the focus is on how you move and how you perform and just getting better. So parang that carried over into a lot of things. And then even when going into having an affiliate na, of course, the business side is tough. Like that's the downside. Like all affiliate owners, gym owners will know.
Thank you, Philippines.
Like there's so many ups and downs with just running your gyms. So many ups and downs. That's why it helps also to have people in your network. Like even reach out to some gym owners sometimes, na parang, or if they're planning to open up, hey, if you need help with anything, if you have any questions, like, there's just the back and forth that needs to, kasi, as the saying, rising tide lifts all boats. So you kind of want to see everybody also progress and go to a different level. You don't want to see your friends still being stuck in the same old practice 5-10 years down the line.
Yeah, that's also something at least like what I like about you is like for the past few months or past years we've been talking to each other. Number one, you definitely have like a vast network. That's what I think. Kasi parang it's not only just in the industry, but it's also across like different companies, different ways of work, different career paths, iba-ibang industry. So parang ang dami mong kilala. And then a second is that I appreciate how you're so generous also with some of these, like you're very ready to introduce people to each other, knowing that it would help both. So I think you really do live by that rising tide lifts all boats. So just say.
Kasi ano din naman, parang you have to also consider, parang in my POV, it also just doesn't make sense to try and keep everything for yourself, so to speak. Na parang it doesn't work. Just for me, it doesn't make sense na to see progress, but everybody else isn't. So, best to move everyone together.
Yeah, that's what I genuinely feel about you. Di ka swapang sa pakilala. So, moving on to CrossFit and weightlifting. So, moving on from something that does not have a glass, so that you have a judgment of yourself of what you look like, which is a baby gazelle. We move on to weightlifting. Like, what do you need to weightlifting? Because I think a part of weightlifting is wanting to look good, getting from the bar. It's like a dance. I mean, that's at least for me, my perception of what weightlifting is. It's so nice to look good doing a snatch or a clean and jerk, right? So, how did you transition and how did you find yourself in weightlifting?
Well, with weightlifting, it's like weightlifting has always been kind of like, personally, like I've kind of been a fan of the sport even when I was like young. Because I'm a jock talaga, like a sports kid. But weightlifting kasi is one of like the Olympic sports. So there's swimming, gymnastics, athletics. Weightlifting is one of the major Olympic sports. So I've always kind of followed it over the years. And because we never had any facility naman in the Philippines talaga that focused on weightlifting, it always felt something I couldn't reach.
Yeah.
But when I got into CrossFit, I even remember, I think around 2014, I was in Dubai. I did a couple of certifications. So I did a calisthenics certification in Dubai.
And CrossFit, right? Parang CrossFit.
No, also, so parang how I also wanted, so my background, so just so you also have an idea, like part of my certifications, like I have professional diploma in strength and conditioning and also a professional diploma in sports nutrition. Some of my certifications would include like an L1 from the World Calisthenics Organization. I did a certification with the Singapore Weightlifting Federation. So parang it felt to me na when I want to learn something, kasi CrossFit nga had so much movement.
Yeah.
It made sense to me na, if I want to learn bodyweight movements, then I do with the World Calisthenics Organization. Now, which is calisthenics, which is there was no adult gymnastics pa back then. Parang, so I do calisthenics, I did that. And then, the CrossFit L1, sure, I did that also. But when I wanted weightlifting to me felt like, I want to learn from an Olympian. I want to learn from, and at the time, Chinese weightlifting was also the rage. The Singapore Weightlifting Federation did their certification course, and their coach was actually a Chinese Olympian, Chinese national team also. And I went there. I was just lucky enough na all the different places I went to, I had friends who were able to let me stay or sleep on the couch, give me a room to stay for free. I could do all the certifications I want to do, and I just ask for, I just to worry about. I don't worry about where I have to sleep.
Yeah.
So I followed that, and I remember, yun na nga na after just being in CrossFit Manila, I kept trying to learn CrossFit, and then develop my weightlifting skill. So when I did the Singapore Weightlifting Federation course, I was like, that was like a big eureka moment for me. Na shout out to Coach Wu. I remember our coach teaching me, telling us during the course, he would say, find the feeling.
Okay.
So
exactly, I think that you just say that and I get it. Yeah.
So he would always say, find the feeling. I remember we would train in a gym. There was no music, and you could hear everybody had a rhythm with the bar.
Yeah.
So he could tell if your lift was off. He would be sitting over there, and just by hearing you lift, he was like, again. And then you could tell that your lift was off your tempo. And he would explain how a weightlifter that like the triple extension is like a ballerina or a dancer on their toes.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oof. And I remember like me and Julius, we would talk about, Coach Julius, husband of Heidi, we would talk about Ho Ching Chun. Heidi had that opportunity to
Of
train.
course.
To
The
train
great-
with Ko Sing Chun of Taiwan. And me and Jules were like, she has the most beautiful balanced lift or technique. And we would talk about it. And even when I talked to Heidi, like, oh, weightlifting is an art. Like, there's so many things that need to go into it for a nice lift. And that was just the start of all of it. And then I just wormholed into it. So when I got into Dubai, I had that chance to go into the certification with the WCO. And then I went to a weightlifting, went to a sports expo. I got exposed to seeing so many different brands and just how they do things. So there's a lot of European brands that came in. I met some people from Eleiko HQ.
Thank you for the transition. We're going there, but yeah. Okay.
So I got to meet people from Eleiko HQ back then. Yeah, around 2014, 2015. I got to see like my first fully decked out Eleiko gym.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, and I remember just seeing the brand Eleiko when I was as an Olympic fan, just being able to see it. And this was just like, oh, now be able to see it and touch it for myself, being able to interact with the people from HQ, and just like build those relationships and train with some. And we had coaches from CrossFit Manila who also moved to Dubai and be able to meet with them. All these other different coaches I got to interact. I think I stayed there I returned a few times, but I stayed there like the first time. I think I was there for nearly a month.
Yeah.
And just interacted and interned with different gyms, worked with different coaches, stayed, and I was just like, yes, this is like the further down the wormhole I really went. Like, so yeah, from CrossFit General, I wanted to get specific certifications for each field with each significant body, not just a quote-unquote CrossFit cert.
Yeah.
Just to widen my POV, and then slowly it made me, after widening my POV, it made me kind of focus. People watch a video, especially mga slow-mo na pag ganyan.
Sarap eh.
But obviously our physiology is different, and then you see that person on the video. If you try and chase the movement that's on the video, there's no guarantee that that's the movement that's ideal for your body.
Yeah.
So automatically you're kind of compromising your position also. So that's where all these little things, parang you need to, that's why the find the feeling or the Eleiko feeling and all that. There's every feeling is intimate to each of us. Na parang we lift, the numbers might not look the same, but the feeling should look the same. It should be the same.
You just hit me that tagline right now. Yeah, now that you explained to it that the word feeling and being used in a brand that's very well known for weightlifting, that's what it comes from. I got it.
Correct.
Got it. All right. So, like your affiliation with Eleiko and Eleiko Education, how did you get there? So, you went from Dubai. You saw Eleiko there, an Eleiko facility. Like, how did it hook you? So, yeah, basically, where did you start with that brand with Eleiko?
With Eleiko Education, I saw that they actually had an initial master educator training for Asia, and then I wasn't part of that initial batch yet. And then I remember just seeing that, oh, what's this? Because I want to be a part of this.
Okay.
Because at that point, this was during the lockdown when it got launched. But pre-lockdown, I was already like kinda trying to do my own workshops. So because
With CrossFit or with weightlifting?
I was doing Chinese weightlifting workshops.
Got it.
So I would do fundamentals of functional fitness and Chinese weightlifting workshops, which I held around the country. I held it in Cebu, Davao, some sessions here in Manila also. Just wanting to teach and share weightlifting and how the joy and the feeling of weightlifting. The reason why I wanted to do those workshops was actually I started seeing siguro around 2017, 2018, and they still exist up to now. I started seeing this parang quote-unquote sketchy certifications. I won't name them na lang because they still exist. I just checked them a few hours ago. They still exist. But to my eyes, they look very sketchy.
Okay.
So I saw a video of this white guy, mga Pinoy naniniwala because puti, this white guy teaching a weightlifting class. They were charging like around 20,000 pesos or something for a weightlifting certification, and it just did not look right to me.
Okay.
So I started like wondering, and then I looked at, oh, they're supposed to say that they're affiliated with this, that, and I was like, this doesn't look right.
Yeah.
And at this point, I was already one of my, parang, obviously coaching doesn't pay all the bills. I actually had a side gig as a corporate trainer.
Okay.
So corporate education. I was doing corporate education. I would teach business communication. I was doing corporate education, sales, leadership, communication skills, training all around Asia. So I would do workshops in China, in Singapore, for multinationals, and even here in the Philippines. So I knew teaching structure, I knew coaching structure, I knew how to see what a real course was, how it was developed. So when I saw these videos, by then, and I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
So it kind of like that started me with just doing my own workshops wherein the idea was in 2018, say 2017, 2018, that started me with, wait, I want to do workshops that really have basis in education, that will give value to those attending, and that will help elevate the standards of coaching and training in the Philippines. So that was like kind of like my mission pre-pandemic already back then. And then when Eleiko education came out over the lockdown, I was like, yes, this is it. Because already of my affinity with the brand before and my connections with them. So I kind of reached out. I reached out and then explained who I was. And then they were also like, okay, sige, we'll get back to you. But it was basically a 1-year process before I ended up doing my first Master Educator training.
This was in Hong Kong, right?
This was in Hong Kong. So like our Asia headquarters for education is in Hong Kong.
Okay.
So, and that was a few years ago. So it took a while, back and forth, vetting and all that. But also because obviously we have to realize Eleiko would always have a standard. Right? So for you to be able to hold the standard of Eleiko and to be able to represent the brand, is you still need to make sure that you're at a certain quality. So in that same way, I appreciated that, and then that's where it kind of started. It was just another logical step for me in my own little personal mission before to try and elevate coaching standards, training standards. It just so happened that the brand that I had the relationship with and is the first name in strength training globally, it just made sense that to be able to help bring that brand and the standard of coaching education to the Philippines to eventually be able to raise up the quality of training here.
I just wanted to anchor back to what you said about your career as a corporate trainer. Ako kasi, I spent about maybe 7 years as a part-time corporate trainer too. I had 5 fantastic women bosses. Next Step Consulting is really good. I loved working with them. It really taught me like what was true teaching. It's like how do you really like compose the outline of a workshop so that your students will really have this maximum environment where they will learn. At the same time, I also have interactions with coaches. I've never been a coach. I did get CSCS, but I never really used it in a coaching manner. But sometimes, like, coaches would be athletes themselves, and it would be so difficult for them to communicate to someone who maybe learns things in a different way. Or right, like not everyone who wants to learn, for example, weightlifting, will actually understand how it feels to be a parang someone who started from very early on learning a movement. It's just so difficult to communicate to someone who has not done that, right? So parang, and I think the one that bridges the gap between how to share or communicate that love for weightlifting and how to do it is the basis of corporate training. Is a fantastic skill to have. And that's what I appreciated in the August batch last year of 25 that I joined Eleiko Level 1, was that it felt like there was a structure that I could follow. And if that structure is something that I still can't get, there was someone who was trained enough to give me feedback on how to get on track.
Correct.
So that's what I felt like. It was a great combination. It had to be someone who was into corporate training and someone who also knew how coaching was and was in love with the movement. So anyway, selling, I have to get my commissions from this, but that was a great course. So maybe we anything else to share, because I want to move on to like last year, how many batches did you? I think you had like 2 batches.
Yes, you had 2 batches last year. So parang we were starting out last year with Eleiko Weightlifting L1, but this year we're launching the Eleiko Powerlifting L1 also. So we're running it already. We have schedules announced. So we're actually bringing in the Powerlifting L1 aside from the Weightlifting L1. While it's branded as powerlifting and weightlifting, I really think there's a lot of value. Even me, I remember when I did the Educator training for the powerlifting course, I actually told our global head that we need to label this as foundations of strength training, because it just needs to be taught to everyone. While the label is just powerlifting because it's the squat, bench, and deadlift, but essentially there's so many other things outside of that which touches on what Ken was just saying about how do you identify what kind of learner you have in the class. Are they a tactile learner? Are they a visual learner? And then there's like ways to be able to combat that, how to the basics of programming and how do you look at the programming in general. And then just so many coaching systems, the Eleiko performance system, the Eleiko coaching system. There's just so many things that it teaches that it just takes, that it just gives you, there's just a eureka moment. That even me, right, when I did the Master Educator training, I was just like, wow, like this is going to be a lot of help for everyone. And to think I was also in our educator training, for like the powerlifting course, there were like IPF competitors, there were like IPF worlds competitors. There were, I remember the Weightlifting L1, Weightlifting Educator course had Asian Games medalists. There were like really, really high level lifters and coaches also, but everybody had eureka moments. So I'm fairly confident that when we're able to bring it, that's why we're able to bring it here. We want all the coaches of the Philippines to be able to like also have their eureka moments and at the same time lift everyone's standards so that the Philippines also, and I've seen it across the world, like we are still very raw. As a market in the strength training scene, in the coaching scene, we are still very raw. But that's what we're here for. Like we're here to help elevate with the equipment, with the coaching education. We're here to help. We're here to be the tide that lifts everyone up. And in the same way that when you mentioned the courses, that's the same way like when I work with the Heidelin Diaz Academy with our workshops, I had to make sure that we structure our courses properly, we structure our workshops properly so that it's digestible, such that everybody is able to learn, that there's a progression that everybody can see during that class. So, yun na nga.
But we will first have to establish though, right? These, because I've seen your, isang dami na to, Feb, March, April, May, June. So it's a mix of weightlifting and powerlifting. We have to just first, I guess, communicate that the target market for this is the coaches, right? People who, so this is like train the trainer. So we're trying to, Eleiko Education is reaching out to coaches, personal trainers, who feel like they want this in their repertoire so that they can teach this to people who want to do weightlifting directly, right? Yes.
That's the primary. Secondary is also, if there's people that who are getting into the sport and really want to learn, like, this is kind of like what I did. I want to learn from the best. Instead of me, like how I did, and I went to train with a Chinese Chinese national team coach, then you end up being able to learn the Eleiko methodology for the sport, whether you want to be in powerlifting or just coach, or you just learn weightlifting. It's a significant advantage to be able to learn it. And like even just to learn the basics and the progressions of it, it's a significant advantage because you'll now be able to see, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy doesn't. Oh, if the movement I'm feeling, this is natural, this is correct. This doesn't work. You as an athlete yourself, even if you're training yourself, you're going to be able to judge and feel and see how it is, how you can progress significantly a lot more than if you're just doing it on your own and you're not really coached or structured properly by someone who knows that they're doing also.
So you have like a few schedules here. Maybe for anyone who sort of is into weightlifting, maybe we could talk about weightlifting first. What should people who want to participate expect in that? Do you call it a workshop or a program?
It's a course.
It's a course. So like, what should the people who want to participate expect from the course? Having run this like a few times already.
So there's a lot of, when you're coming in, like we've had some people who came in as personal trainers in traditional gyms, some people who have weightlifting backgrounds, and some people like you were not a weightlifter.
Not want to teach. Yes.
Not want to teach, but diba, so parang what you have to expect is, number one, it gives you structure talaga. Just the structure alone is already so different. And just being able to give structure, see how to progress yourself. And
structure of the movement? What
structure of the movement, structure how it's taught.
Okay. Yes.
The progression, because also like, because it's like you're learning multiple ways. So there's visual, there's coaching, and then you're also able to see and how others move in the session. So that already just gives you a lot of advantage. Instead of when you're just traditionally now also you're in a class. There's a lot of weightlifting attributes a lot of its growth globally to how CrossFit, because CrossFit boomed, weightlifting boomed also. But you will actually see CrossFit weightlifting is different from weightlifting. And real weightlifting is really something else. So you have to like also get that out na parang it's kind of different when you're doing it in a Metcon or you're just doing it in a proper weightlifting program.
So obviously when you're doing this course, you're training the trainer, quote unquote. Sorry for next step, that's what they use. So I'm sort of there. But basically when you're able to teach this to a trainer, someone who will be engaged with direct users, like what is it that you think that these trainers will be able to provide to direct users or their clients? Do you think that it's necessary for their clients to be enthusiastic about weightlifters, or should it also apply for people like maybe into sports, or like maybe have a tennis background, they want to get stronger and whatnot, or to basketball? Like how does this like program help the trainers evolve their athletes?
Actually, there's a lot of carryover, like especially the explosive movement, coordination, balance, and then just the progression. A key thing, especially right now, is safety.
Yeah.
So say how to safely progress your client through the weightlifting movements, because I'm pretty sure everybody's seen all the weightlifting fails, CrossFit fails, and all that. But in reality, like if you know the structure, if you know what you're looking for, if you're moving properly, it next to never happens.
Yeah. Okay.
Like next to never happens. Like especially if you're being coached properly, or you're as a coach or as a trainer, there's nothing to fear.
Yeah.
If you're really just like all those quote unquote fails, weightlifting fails or CrossFit fails, happens when it's really just not mindful, not intentional. And so it doesn't create a safe base for it.
Okay.
But weightlifting is really one of the safest things you could actually do.
Okay. So one of height. So one of the things that I think I love what you said about the structure, because for me, I don't do just weightlifting. I'm actually a parkour practitioner first. Like it's a weird sport, but anyway,
Parkour.
Yeah, parkour. Ang nagustuhan ko dun sa Eleiko Weightlifting Level 1 was that tama yung sinabi mo, structure. So for me, the structure on that was being able to cut down the movement into digestible parts.
Right.
And when you have gone through each step intently, then you have that feeling na, wow, this feels different. Suddenly, the bar climbs overhead much faster and much stronger. That's what I loved about it. And I also actually applied that to how I do parkour, is that right now, I'm just getting into I'm really trying to get better at some flips. And that triple extension of having to really be mindful of how the ankles extend, how the knee extends, how the hip extends,
Correct.
and how to have that chest up, it gives you just more intent into what you do. And this weightlifting level 1 just really tells you that if you follow steps, you know the specific movement that needs to happen to get executed properly. I think it helped me a lot in cueing myself, engaging in other athletic activities.
Yeah,
right?
actually, if you see like weightlifters, like especially high-level weightlifters, they are, except siguro for running, but they are really well balanced, because like high-level weightlifters are gonna be able to do all your all your strict calisthenic movements. They'll even able to do handstand push-ups. A lot of them even at bigger weight classes, they will be able to do splits. Weightlifters are the most mobile, most balanced people, because you're training the full body, and they're training to full explosion, full movement.
Yeah.
And then that base of strength, that base of mobility carries over into a lot of different things. Just being able to learn how to move in space with your body weight overhead, like already that depth perception and balance already is a distinct advantage over a lot of people that are just doing quote-unquote traditional strength movements, which is just end-of-range movements.
Okay, so you will be having this from February, you have here April and June in 2026. So anyone who's interested, go to dalongfitness.com, I guess.
Yes, or you can check out eleikopilipinas.com.
Yeah.
So at eleikopilipinas.com, if you need help with equipment or education, our details are all there, and then you can just check out the schedules and register or contact them as you need.
Yeah. So the other thing is that after weightlifting, we move on to powerlifting. What is it different that, knowing you come from a CrossFit background, you come from weightlifting background, I hope you don't mind me asking, because powerlifting and weightlifting, there's just one very funny thing. Like, I have here like this one. So I have here the Eleiko training collar, right? This is very similar to the old Eleiko IPF competition collars.
Correct.
The only difference is the sticker right here, right? The sticker. Someone who was weightlifting did not want the IPF sticker. That's the same collar. So they're very picky with what they use.
Correct.
So I want to.
Same way, those plates, and the plates also look, they're very different.
Yes. Powerlifters do not want to touch bumper plates at all. But anyway, the idea is, what do you think can you offer, coming from CrossFit and coming from weightlifting? What can you offer powerlifters? Why would powerlifters want to listen to you, or why would they want to get into this course? What is it that they should expect?
Well, if we look at it actually, like, there's no separation from it. Like, the separation is only created in our heads.
Yes.
Like what that is, right? Now, the Eleiko Powerlifting L1, as I mentioned, it's really structured as a foundations of strength training, which is, in my POV, given all my background already, it looks like as a foundational course for strength training. Now, if it were up to me, I would have someone take the powerlifting course first, because it's the basic movement: deadlift, squat, press, right?
Yes.
And then the weightlifting, because it's a lot more complicated, because there's balance, coordination, agility, then you're building that on top.
Yeah.
But for the powerlifting course in itself, there's really a whole lot of structure that it gives you.
Okay.
And it's very empowering as a coach. Na even, as I said, like when we did our Master Educator course, there was a weightlifter who was an Olympian and competed in the London Olympics.
Yeah.
There was somebody who competed in the IPF Worlds in the powerlifting course. And all of us were able to go, oh, there is a lot to learn here. There's a lot of value with this course also. And we're able to like see the differences, see what we were able to bring in. Case in point, for example, in the Eleiko methodology, it is taught, for example, just the squat, right? In the Eleiko methodology, the squat should always break parallel.
Okay.
This is already with the powerlifting.
Okay.
Your hips go below your knees.
Okay.
So the only reason it shouldn't go below, now I know there's already like, people like, because it's still full range.
Okay.
Priority in Eleiko methodology is still moving the athlete in full range.
Okay.
The only reason you shouldn't go below parallel is if you have pain or impingement or something biological that prevents you from going parallel, from going below parallel.
Okay.
So the Eleiko does not teach the clamshell squat. It is not what's taught. So even us, we were all like, in our Master Educator training, there were a lot of powerlifting guys. There were presidents of national federations. There were different, all of us around Asia, we were all like, oh, there was like a eureka moment, like, oh, it still has to be like to full range.
Okay.
It's not, you only do that hinge or the wide squat. You have to first make sure you assess and let your client move depending on how they move, instead of forcing a certain movement to a client because, this is a powerlifting squat.
Yeah.
This is a weightlifting squat. No, a squat is a squat.
Yeah.
So even in the Eleiko methodology, a squat is a squat. A snatch deadlift is different, but a deadlift is still a deadlift.
Yeah.
Right? So these are now the intricacies that now what we'd like people to learn. Because all these also translates into the, masama yung mag-squat para sa tuhod, masama mag-squat para sa tuhod.
Yeah.
Going to full depth is bad for your knees. Wow. It doesn't, no.
Okay.
Hard no.
Okay. So maybe just last few questions in terms of Eleiko education. Is this applicable to noobs? Is this more intermediate? Who can join these courses? Are there any difference between weightlifting and powerlifting?
I would highly recommend, given I've seen the structures, it would be very advantageous to join the powerlifting course first and then join the weightlifting course. But join either or, you will still learn a lot.
Whether you're a newbie, you're intermediate,
no
or
matter
advanced,
what
right?
level, it's actually an advantage if you're taking it as a newbie or an intermediate person, because you're learning at a high quality very early on.
Yeah.
Whereas compared to somebody who's been doing education or training a few years, it's so hard to unlearn a lot of bad habits.
Yeah.
Especially, yun yung turo sa akin, yun yung sabi ni ganito, sabi ni ganyan.
Yeah.
Then just say sabi ni Eleiko. That's it.
So I agree with what you said in terms of, tinuro na ganito, instead of tinuro ni Eleiko. What I actually told one of my friends, because, powerlifting is a small community, and especially when you're at the top, like there's a few national athletes that we have. So I have this constant engagement with some of the best powerlifters in the Philippines, and they also ask, like, why do I need it? So ang sabi ko sa kanila, for us, for example, for here at therack.co, where we distribute and we introduce the Eleiko equipment, it's not only that we can introduce the equipment, and funny enough, they actually sometimes do not know, or more than often, they actually do not know how to use the equipment. Even for CrossFitters, it's just funny. Like we're trying to go through this caravan, and the way that you would use a barbell, the way that what solutions are there so that they can learn weightlifting easier, how sleeves are different for weightlifting, for powerlifting, for CrossFit use. So these are some of the things that they don't know, which we love educating. But at the same time, after educating equipment, it would also add value to our clients and also to the people that we approach, to how to exactly use the equipment in the correct way or the most maximal way possible to eventually help them. So I told my friend, yes, you're probably one of the more successful powerlifters in the Philippines. But maybe for us, if you wanted, and we want to introduce you to more people, this powerlifter, we want your character to get introduced and to see all your laurels, all of the championships you've brought to the country and whatnot, all of the records you've broken. But it would be very difficult for us to tell them this is all of your credentials, when in fact you could just say you're Eleiko educated, you're Eleiko certified in Eleiko education, which just says because of the legacy brand that Eleiko is, the top brand for weightlifting and powerlifting equipment, it's just really much easier to say I'm Eleiko certified, and I think people just really listen. So I think that's a huge advantage for people who are taking this certification for Eleiko education.
Yeah, I mean, also, to add to that, aside from it just being an advantage, you also have to realize na, and I get it, when people say, bakit pa? Di ba? Why do I need,
I say that a lot.
Diba? Parang, I get it when people say, oh, ano pang matututunan ko, or, alam ko na yun, ilang taon na ako nagpa-powerlift eh. But you also have to realize that there's, one of my famous, like, I think it's some quote from Sun Tzu or something like that, na, if you're not growing, you're dying. So there's two.
Like you're growing your?
If you're not growing, you're dying.
Okay.
So we're in a
not growing.
finite path. So the moment you already think, I know everything already. Like, oof, then automatically you don't have room for growth.
Yeah.
So education is really part of. That's why, like, I've hunted it. As we were discussing, I've hunted it. I've always been willing to fail. I've always been willing to be a newbie with it. Because I know there's more to learn.
Okay.
And the same way, it would be so hard also for me to parang. It would just be so weird also if there were not people like us to try and push strength training, whether it be on the equipment or the education side, to try and push it forward. We could always say, okay na kami.
Yeah.
Even with sila Heidi, di ba? Parang we work with them, like, Heidi could say, okay na ako, I don't need to teach. She's teaching in UP right now.
Yep.
Aside from us, like, teaching our workshops.
Yeah.
But we know that by us pushing things forward and helping people and teaching people and sharing what we know, that's how you grow everyone. So, sure, there might be people who think, I don't need, but there's a lot more that you could learn and a lot more you could grow. Parang if you have the structure behind it and you have the education behind it.
Yeah.
Diba? So that's where a lot of value also is.
Ang naalala ko lang, nakakatawa lang. Do you know, someone walking in the street, do you know if he's a CrossFitter or not? Someone walking in the street, do you know how he's a CrossFitter or not?
Bakit?
If he is, he'll tell you. No, I'll just say. So the idea.
Hindi, Hyrox na ngayon.
Hyrox na ngayon. Do you know how Hyrox, someone is doing Hyrox? He tells you or she tells you.
Diba?
So actually, parang sa amin, we're just really dorks. We just love equipment. That's where our space is. I think it's really for the love. And I think that's also the reason why I guess the Heidelin Diaz brand is so strong, is because they don't stop because they've achieved a certain level of success.
Correct.
But it's because they just really love the art of weightlifting, the craft of weightlifting, and they love sharing that. And that's what amazes me about where they are, what they're doing, and whatnot. Which I think we should transition to. Flip, aside from your Eleiko education courses, Eleiko Level 1, Eleiko Weightlifting Level 1, and Eleiko Powerlifting Level 1, which we will just maybe have on the details, calendars, and whatnot. What are the other projects that you think people should be looking forward to this year, I guess? Yeah.
Wow. Napaka-subtle, no?
Eleiko,
Napaka-subtle, no? So, we actually have, we being us and Heidi, we have the HD LiftOff coming this July. So, we are holding it in Glorieta Activity Center in Makati. So, we are holding the first major weightlifting competition in the country that is backed by Eleiko. The platform is right there.
Most expensive wood. We've all
The platform
had
is
to
right there. So, if you want to experience like a real weightlifting competition setup, this is what we want to do, because it also comes from the idea that this is our country's first Olympic gold medal, yet we don't have a flagship event. We are hosting FIBA basketball championships, we're hosting volleyball world championships, we're hosting tennis tournaments, but weightlifting, we don't have.
May effect na tennis, ano?
No, I grew up in a tennis court. That's okay. I grew up in a tennis court, like.
But yes, it's
parang we don't
first
have
Olympic gold medalist ng Pilipinas. And we don't have an event to celebrate that.
Yeah, to celebrate weightlifting in the country that's on a national big stage. So that's what we're trying to do this year. So prepare for that, support it. So because our friends are at SBD and Powerlifting Federation are doing their part with powerlifting.
SBD, PH Nationals, 2026.
Yeah, they do their part. The SBD, PH Nationals. Good job, guys.
Yeah, congrats, PAP. Really good job on that one. Yeah.
Support. Like, tayo naman, we're here to elevate everyone. So the same way for weightlifting, we're trying to do the same thing for our Olympic gold medal sport. And yeah, that's something I think everybody should look forward to.
Yeah, on the equipment side, they will not be not happy. Yeah. In fact, prior to doing this, we were supposed to schedule it in January. Thank you. We moved it to July, which makes like enough time for us to prepare. just saying, we'll definitely have the new Eleiko IWF competition bars on site.
Iuwi ko yan after.
Yes, bilhin mo na lang. Basta bilhin mo. But I think on our side, we've done our best on the first year just to share weightlifting on not only the craft side, but on our side, also for us as a team to also share like the love for good equipment. And I think people should really look forward to that. With that said, in terms of all of the projects that are incoming in 2026 and whatnot, any last words?
So if you need help with anything, reach out, go to eleikopilipinas.com. There's a link for equipment and for education. So you can also like ask us questions directly. Find me on Instagram, Flipletics. If you need help, coaching, or just consult with anything, that's fine. Because we're here to help. We're here to help elevate the scene. We're here to help raise the bar for coaching education, strength training standards in the country, which is potentially our mission. Like if we are able to elevate us to the same level that other countries in Asia are, we would definitely have done our job. We're still way behind, guys.
We're still way behind, but I'm so excited what will happen after. I think,
Correct, yeah.
I mean, like every country, obviously we all do our shares, right? We're giving our best. And I hope like with this one, we can also say like as a community, like this is our maybe the best effort that we could to contribute to the community. We don't need to be better than this person, that person, this organization, but at least on our end, like life is short. We've done the best that we can. This is our craft. This is the way that we see weightlifting to be. And I'm very happy to be a part of this project. And yeah, this was a nice conversation. Thank you, Flip.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. So for us, TheRack.co, we're working with great partners. Anyone who wants to reach out for Eleiko stuff, eleikopilipinas.com or TheRack.co. That's it. Thank you.